Good evening. My name is Patty Baker. Welcome to this community page called Live on Purpose. I believe that we spend our whole lives searching for our purpose instead of just being fully present in the moment and living out our purpose. And when we use the foundation of love to love God, love others as we love ourselves, and we fully invest in each moment of each day, heart, soul, mind, and strength, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, and physically, that our purpose unfolds before us. And this community broadcast that happens every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, comes to you based on topics that derive out of my Facebook Messenger inbox here at Live on Purpose. So if you have a comment, life story, question, topic suggestion, send me a note over in the Facebook Messenger. I would love to say hello to you, and also put your question or topic suggestion in the lineup for Thursday night. No question is out of the question. If you'd like to see some of the previous week's topics, just go ahead and look at the videos. Also, you can scroll through and see the weekly posts that we put out, so hopefully those are inspirational for you. Tonight's topic comes directly from the inbox, and that is about dealing with hopelessness, anguish, despair, distress, all of that stuff in the midst of disaster and life happening. And if it's just your first time joining me live, I see you. However, I will not acknowledge you unless you make a comment, because I appreciate your anonymity and being here and kind of sitting in the back of the room listening to this topic. And also, many of you are doing other things while you're listening in, which is great. And so if you're getting a workout in, or you're commuting, whatever you're into at this time that you're tuning in, I normally just read the comments as I go, so that the dialogue is a little bit more engaging for those of you who are just listening as we go. So without further ado, I'm going to say a quick hello to all of you, and then I'm going to dive into this topic tonight, which I've really been excited about doing. Great to see you tonight, David. Thank you so much for being here and such a great supporter of this community and this page. And I love seeing you live on purpose. So hi, Kevin. Great to see you. I enjoyed talking to you today over on the Facebook Messenger. Thank you so much for liking my hair and my dress tonight. Thank you for that. And thank you also for just giving a shout out to everybody who's on here as well. Crosstalk is always a good thing. So say hello to all of the other folks in the house. Hey, Yana, I think it's 3 a.m. where you are, and I'm always glad when I see you tune in. So thank you for being here. Hi, Robbie. We have been praying for the floods that have been going on because of all the excess rain that you've been having in your area. So just want to let you know that. Oh, and that's what you're saying here. Thank you for the prayer request last week. Yeah, lots of roads got washed away. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. But good. Yeah, we'll keep praying. The aftermath when something like that happens can be devastating for sure. Charles, wonderful to see you tonight as always. Tonight's topic is kind of multifaceted, but I want to start off just by a quick account of this guy named Andy. This was back in 1991. He was sitting in a restaurant with his girlfriend, and they were talking about the fact that she was a journalism major, and she had worked for writing articles and stuff for a magazine. It wasn't going well for her, and so she kind of quit that job, but she didn't know what she wanted to do. And they were talking about their future together and their commitment to doing something together, maybe starting a business. And so he said, why don't you just do purses or something like that? I mean, you're creative, and that's something that you're passionate about. And she's like, build a business on handbags? And he goes, yeah, why not? And so that was in 1991. And in 1993, they had cashed out their 401k, basically living off of his retirement that he cashed out. And they are trying to make this business a go that finally took off huge in 1996. And the name of the company was called Kate Spade. And many of you may know of Andy and Kate Spade. They ended up getting married in 1994, and it was just an amazing ride for them. By 99, Neiman Marcus had bought out 56% of the stock of that company, I think for $33.5 million. And then it wasn't too much longer after that. I want to say it was maybe in 2000, that was in 1999. I think it was maybe in 2005 or so, maybe 2006. They sold the other 44%, Kate and Andy and a couple of other partners. And they sold that, I don't know what the undisclosed, I think it was an undisclosed amount. I'm not sure exactly what the number was, but it was over $100 million. And then Neiman Marcus went and sold that to Liz Claiborne for $124 million, the entire company. And last year, Liz Claiborne sold the Kate Spade brand to Coach for $2.4 billion. I think Kate and Andy Spade got out of the handbag accessory industry maybe 2006, 2007, so the last 12 years. And they have a 13-year-old daughter, and many of you have probably heard about what happened to her this week, and that she committed suicide. And she left a note. Her housekeeper found her in the morning, and when the housekeeper found her, she had a red scarf around her neck and around the doorknob. And at the end of the day, folks, at the end of the day, it's difficult. And if you're having problems with the buffering, log off and log back in and see if that helps you. So anyway, all of this to say, I don't know what happened, but in the suicide note, reportedly, Kate had mentioned something to her daughter by saying, just know that this didn't happen because of you. Ask your daddy. And if you know, then what needs to happen, it's what you need to know at this point is we don't really know anything other than the fact that she died. It might have been relational issues. They were separated. He had moved out. He moved into an apartment. The daughter was with him when all of this went down. So I don't know. I don't know the whole story, but I know that she knew that her life had that her life no longer had value. Sad, isn't it? That her life no longer had value for her. That she had sold out her company, had all of this money, and yet she was losing her business partner, confidant, best friend, husband, lover, father of her daughter. And suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. That's the statistic. And that comes out of the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. I just pulled that number. And it is the age group that has the highest suicide rate, according to the Center for Disease Control, is between the ages of 45 and 54. Kate Spade was 55. And 45,000 people, Americans, successfully commit suicide every year. With 525,600 minutes in a year, that is one person committing suicide every 12 to 13 minutes. Before I finish this tonight, 4 people will have committed suicide. It's a huge problem in our culture. And it's not prejudice. It has nothing to do with age, gender, socioeconomic class, race. It doesn't discriminate. However, there are some things that we can do because we all struggle. If not now, we will, or we have been. But we all struggle with things that happen into our life, things that happen in our life or to us that create this place where we feel like we can't go on. And our whole life is caving in. And so I want to talk about that. I don't think that it's uncommon for us to feel that way. As a matter of fact, in the Bible, there were people who committed suicide. And there were people who didn't commit suicide, but yet talked about this despair. And so, and you know what? I'm glad that you all are here too. And I thank you so much for letting me know about the computer. You thought it was your computer buffering and that I don't know what's happening with Facebook, quite frankly, but I'm not on a Wi-Fi or anything because sometimes that creates a buffer. But if you log out and log back in, it may help you. So I hope that's a good tip for you. But in the Bible, we see where people are in despair. And I don't know why. I don't know why they're in despair, but something's happened in their life. We see David. I consider the Psalms to be a journal for him. And what he says usually in the beginning of one of the Psalms is about how he feels. And then it always comes back around to Jesus. And so I want to read from you something that David, and again, he was considered, for us, it would be the modern day president of our country. He was the leader and king of Israel. He was a top military commander, so he would be like an admiral, a 4-star general, for example. And he used to journal out his thoughts. And this comes from Psalm 22. It says, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? My God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer, and by night I find no rest. And I think about that, and I'm like, man, we don't find rest? I know that sometimes when we struggle, there's insomnia comes with that, and that anguish and that anxiousness that's there at the pit of our stomach. David had a son. His name was Solomon, and Solomon was one of the richest, wisest, most powerful men that ever existed in this world. And late in his life, he wrote Ecclesiastes, which is another book in the Old Testament. And he basically starts off the book by saying, life is meaningless. And this is what he says in a few of those verses. Meaningless, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. I was king over Israel in Jerusalem. I applied my mind to study and to explore by wisdom all that is done under the heavens. What a heavy burden God has laid on mankind. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. And he spends the entire book of Ecclesiastes talking about how life is meaningless and that we chase after those things that rust out and destroy. And for what? Because we can't take it with us when we go. And at the end of the book, he basically says this: enjoy life. And in essence, he says, everyone in this world will have trials. Everyone in this world will have temptations. But as long as we have life, we still have a chance to seize the day. God is our creator. And so that's how he ends Ecclesiastes. I think for us in our American culture, we get so caught up in setting goals. That's what we do. We set goals. We got a goal for this part of our life, goals for that part of our life. We pride ourselves in moving with such accuracy and hitting targets of goals. We thrive off of it in our culture. And we think that's normal. But in other countries, it's not. But even the carefully laid plans that we have out for our lives, for whatever those areas are, can bring us disappointment and even cause depression sometimes because they don't turn out how we have planned for them to turn out. Unexpected things happen and the carefully built plans begin to shift. And you feel like this earthquake or a tremor in your life and it crumbles, or this volcano of circumstances that brings so much heat, this like a lava that just pours over your life and it destroys every plan that you ever had. And you think, what happened? It's a relationship breakup. It's the loss of a job. It's sickness. It's an accident. It's an unexpected twist in your life. And it comes out of left field. You weren't expecting it. You didn't plan for it. What do? I mean, many times we grasp at things or at events because we know what we want. There's a romantic partner. There's a job in this certain company. There's a certain body physique that we've got to have, that we're striving toward. And when we do that, we understand exactly what we desire. We've got a vision for it. We're going for it with everything we've got. We've got a plan laid out and details and daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, our yearly goals, our 5-year plan. So we're working toward it and we become so fixated on it that we're taught to control all of the objectives. And so as we're controlling all these objectives of what we've got going on, it keeps us safe because we're in control. And it reduces anxiety in the process. You have a plan for a given idea in your life, and then you have a backup plan for that if it doesn't work out. If plan A doesn't work out, we have a plan B. And then we have a backup plan for we have a contingency plan for the backup plan. In case plan B doesn't go, we've got plan C. So we're always in control. And we can pivot and do whatever we need to do. But what happens when those don't work? What happens is we often overlook things that are out of our control. We might be the most attractive person in the world. And that person that we want to love us doesn't. We may have just nailed the best interview for that job in the history of interviews, and that company doesn't hire us. We may have trained our bodies from teens on up to our mid-20s to get to the Olympics in order to win the gold, the bronze, the silver, right? The gold, the silver, the bronze. And we walk away after all of those years with nothing. Because somebody was better than us. Not just once, not just 2, but 3 people who got those medals. And we go home with nothing. Years and years and years of training and discipline. For what? What this short-sighted method of goal setting does. And I say that it's short-sighted because it doesn't take into account the fact that there are things that are outside of our control that can wipe out our goals. Having that kind of goal-setting, thriving, striving makeup in our culture doesn't teach us that we can't control everything or everyone. And for some, that's downright frightening. It's deeply unsettling for others. The painful reality of current situations and the memories that haunt us. So what do we do? What do we do when those things come up in the midst of our anguish, our despair, our distress, our disappointment, our depression, our hopelessness? What do we do? I want to give you 3 things tonight that hopefully you can, if you don't need them now, we'll put them in your toolbox to be able to use them later. And before I get into those 3, let me just scroll back on up and say hello to those of you who have joined me. Hopefully the buffering as people are coming on has kind of settled down, and so and you're able to see without too much of a streaming issue. Hi, Sunny. Great to see you, and I love Zeus, the dog that you have now. Just adorable fishing buddy you have there. Hi, John. I am glad you are here tonight. You thought it was your computer buffering, and I hope that that got sorted out. And it's not only a problem in the States, it's a problem here in Estonia also. Good. You know what? There are other pockets of this whole thriving and striving. We're seeing this coming up in China as well. Same thing. It's becoming a mindset that's being kind of thread into to some cultures. And also, I just want to let you know, I see you. If you're on here, I will not acknowledge you unless you make a comment. But if you are here and you don't comment, it's okay. I just want to say hello to you. Oh, good. I'm glad it's working a lot better. I think when people jump on it, I don't know what happens to the stream, but I'm glad that it's working good. Hey, Richard. Great to see you, Rick. I'm glad you're in the house. Darlene, wonderful to see you. I'm praying for your mama and your family. I hope that all is well with you. Good. I'm glad the video is starting to work now. And it sounds like people are just logging off and logging back on, and that worked out good. Okay, good. John says it's all perceived control. I may have some influence, but no control. The more attached I am to the notion that I am in control, the more vulnerable I am to upset. Absolutely. That's excellent insight. So do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, let your requests be known to God. That's in Philippians 4:6, according to David. And that's such a great verse. I have it also that I want to share a little bit later tonight. Oh, that's good. I'm so glad that you love your dog, Sunny, and I'm so glad that you are here, my friend. So thank you for that. 3 things that we can do when we are in the midst of desperation, despair, all of those things. We have something that all of a sudden we don't know what we're going to do. And our whole life just got dumped. The first thing is to surrender. Ugh. I know, right? It's more than just waving the white flag. You can't control everything. We live in a culture where we want to be able to control everything, but at the end of the day, and we attempt psychologically, forcibly, we try and control everything. But the fact of the matter is, we can't control anything outside of ourselves. There's only one thing that we can control. That's us individually. We can only control ourselves. That's it. You can't control the weather, you can't control the time, you can't control everything, and you can't control everybody. Surrender is you being able to control you. And actually, that's pretty amazing. Because David, and I just talked to you about this, and when he was writing the Psalms, and we have the book of Psalms, and in one of the Psalms he wrote that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, each one of us. That was from Psalm 139. The human brain is an amazing organ. It has the ability to learn, to reason, and it can control so many things within ourselves. It can control our breathing. It can control our heart rate. It can control blood pressure. All of these things. I mean, we can maintain balance in the midst of standing, sitting, walking, running, all while doing and thinking other things. It's that automatic. It's that automatic. That kind of concentration, that kind of level. Yet each of us is unique. Each of us is unique with our passions, with our experiences, with our personalities, with our skills, with our abilities. No one else is like you. No one else can be you. This place of surrendering that only you can control yourself is a tough concept for many people. I want to read for you, out of Psalm 139 that David wrote. And it says this, and I'm reading from the Message version of the Bible, so that's like the newest English modern language, okay? It says, God, you shaped me first inside and then out. You formed me in my mother's womb. I thank you, God. You're breathtaking. Body and soul, I am marvelously made. I worship in adoration. What a creation. You know me inside and out. You know every bone in my body, and you know exactly how I was made, bit by bit. How I was sculpted from nothing into something, like an open book, and you watched me grow from conception to birth. All the stages of my life were spread out before you, God. The days of my life all prepared before I even lived one day. Something greater than us exists. You can't make this up. You can't. Something greater than you created you. Something greater than us keeps this whole planet in order and all of the universe in order and beyond. It's nothing that we can do. It's out of our control. But yet we live in the order of that, which is being controlled beyond us. There's a greater intelligence that's able to do that. You were born of God. You are treasured by Him. You are loved by Him. God is caring for you every moment of every day. Whether you realize it or not, the disruption of your life is already known by God. He's allowed it. You may not know the reason for it. All of the hardships that you will experience during your lifetime, you don't get to select the challenges you will have in this life. What if our toughest moments were selected for us to learn, to grow, to help others learn and grow, and to be able to overcome? David kind of finishes out here in these few verses in Psalm 139, and he says, your thoughts, how rare, how beautiful, God. I'll never comprehend them. I couldn't even begin to count them, any more than I could count the sand of the sea. Let me rise in the morning and live always with you. I told you I was going to give you 3 things tonight, that if you have something that's devastating going on in your life, that these 3 things can help you. And this first one I'm talking about right now is surrender. If you knew everything that was going to happen, or if you got your way all the time, you wouldn't grow as a person. You just wouldn't. And you wouldn't have as much fun in life. You know, today's terrible date, today's terrible first date might be tomorrow's bedtime story for your children. Who knows? That relationship that you wanted so badly, but it never happened, maybe it was because there's a much more fulfilling relationship that you could have never even started to imagine. Today's lost job opportunity is maybe going to open up into a whole other career, like I was just talking about at the beginning, with Andy and Kate, right? So you don't know. You just can't imagine it right now. God is trying to give you what is best for you, but it may not look the way you expected it to. And if we walk a straight line of details all the time and goals, and we become so rigid that we leave no room for surprises, we miss all the exhilarating adventures. We miss the journey in the process. And we miss the deep wisdom that comes only from these types of circumstances. You have many choices in any given situation. You can choose how to react, when to react, and those choices are the only things that are within your control. You are the only thing that you can control. Surrender, because you can't control everything. Control is the only thing that controlling the only thing that you can is yourself. The second of the three things that I want to give you for tonight, the first one's surrender. The second one, I will give to you in just a second. Let me just scroll up and say hello to all of you who've joined in real quick that I was able to see you come on board, and so I want to do that. It's all perceived control. I've had some influence, but no control. The more attached I am to the notion that I am in control, the more vulnerable I am to upset. And I read that before. I love how you use the word vulnerable there. And David, how long do I have to surrender? Let's talk. We will address that, Yana. It's such a great question. You can't even control yourself sometimes, Kevin. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Your phone is out of control. Charles, fearfully and wonderfully made, knitted in my mother's womb. Absolutely. That's Psalm 139. I am doing real good if I can control myself. That's right. I'm getting better at noticing my upsets and being fascinated by them rather than dismayed. Absolutely. Hi, Woody. Wonderful to see you tonight. I'm so glad you're here for this message. Three things we can do in the midst of our distress, disaster, dilemmas. One is surrender, because we can't control everything and everyone, but we can control ourselves. So we surrender to those things that are outside of our control. The second thing is to trust God. Trust God with us and trust God with everything else. Many of us cannot trust without first loosening our hold of control. We cling to beliefs. We cling to these habits. We cling to people who, for whatever reason, we feel safe because it's a known quantity. And we do that instead of letting God lead us to the people, the places, the things more beautiful and more beautiful and better for us than we could ever begin to imagine. But we're not willing to let go of the control of the ugliness that we think that's the best thing for us. But if we would just let it go and trust God, then it opens up the door to those other things that are possible for us. Surrendering control of people, of places, of things, and trusting God requires something that John just mentioned in his comment. In order to do that and to surrender and trust God, it requires vulnerability. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the willingness to drop the facade, to experience your feelings of life's happenings with every part of your being. This community was founded on this scripture verse, and to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength, and to love others as yourself. And there are no greater commandments than those. When we have something that happens to us, it's healthy for us to fully engage in what's happening so that we can experience it and emotionally and mentally begin to process through it. We sometimes tend to just see the short-sighted view and say, well, my life is meaningless. I have no value anymore. My husband's leaving me. My wife's cheating on me. Whatever the issue is, I lost my job. The stock market crashed. I lost everything I have. And we realize we think we're out of options because of everything that we've been trying to control. Surrendering is a willingness to trust God with your situation. Trusting God in how He deals with those situations. You may look back in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, and you may say, you know, that marriage was the most difficult thing I have ever been in and gone through in my life. However, as I look back, I'm so grateful for the children that came out of that marriage. You may look and say, man, I don't know why I have cancer. I don't know. I don't know why. I wish I knew why. I don't know why. But you know what? My life isn't ended. I'm going to walk this out and do everything that I can to get as good as I can, and I'm going to learn from this situation. I don't know why in the moment. You may say, I have breast cancer, but you know what? I am circling around other women who have breast cancer, and we're encouraging one another, and we're doing group time to support one another, and I've made a lot of friends in it, and I've been inspired and encouraged, and now I'm in a position where I can influence that as well. Because this side of heaven, we're all going to have trials and temptations and struggles, tribulations. And so, in the midst of those, we can bind together. I don't know why the accident happened and it debilitated you to the point where you're not able to function the way you used to, nor will you ever be. And that permanent disability has caused you to question everything about who you are and the life that you're in. But at some point, as you begin to unlock your hands from the control of everything that you were striving so hard for and say, I don't know, but I'm willing to walk this out. It's caused me to now see my mind that I can do so many other things from the place that I'm in physically now that I couldn't do before, and lives are being changed, and my life is being changed as a result. You don't know. In the moment, you don't know. You don't know. But you've got to release the control. Surrender to the circumstance. Trust God with everything that you can't control. Control yourself and trust God with you and your life. Do you trust that there's meaning in what you're experiencing right now? Do you trust you will learn from the changes that are happening in your life right now? Do you trust God is watching out for you, nurturing you through the darkest time that you're going through if you learn to listen and turn toward Him rather than turning inward to yourself and spiraling out of control in your despair? Matthew 6, Jesus said, look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they are? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? No, you have no control over it. Surrender to it. Trust God. It's logical for our human minds to want to control everything, to strive, and our American culture, like I said, perpetuates that to the nth degree. Having trust in God means losing control that we perceive we have when we really don't. We would rather hold on to the control of the ugliness rather than letting it go to open up to the possibilities of what God has for us. Releasing the need to manage everyone and everything is both terrifying and deeply freeing at the same time, if you release yourself to do it. I want to give you the third thing. The first one was surrender. The second one's trust God. And the third one, as I just say hello to some of you who've joined in, just want to say a quick shout out to you. If you did not comment, I will not acknowledge you. There is a 10-second delay on my end from your posting and me seeing it. So I just want to say that. David says, joy is Jesus, others, and yourself. I love it. I love it. Yes, Yana, you're saying that this makes sense for your current situation. David, you have given me John 16:33, and it says, in the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. That's what Jesus said. Hi, Deborah. Wonderful to see you tonight, beautiful woman. So, in the midst of our distress, our dilemma, our life situation that's spiraled out of control, we've surrendered. Because we can't control everything. We can only control ourselves. We trust God with the rest. And really, that's the first 3 steps of 12-step. For Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous. I can't. God can. I'm going to trust God. That's the first 3 steps of a 12-step program. I just outlined it for you. The third one is love. I told you just a minute ago that this community, Live on Purpose, was founded on this scripture verse that comes out of Mark 12. It's 29 through 31, and it says, the religious people were trying to trip up Jesus, and they were saying, so hey, all these, commands that are in the scrolls, which we now know as part of the Old Testament, which one of all these commands is the greatest? And Jesus replied to them and said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. The second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Love. Love God. Love others as yourself. Wow. How are we loving ourselves? That's how we're loving others? Have you ever thought about do you ever think about what you think about? What you're saying to yourself in your head, you would not say to anybody else. But yet you talk to yourself that way. Why? Why? Think about what you're thinking about. Love yourself. Self-love is not a bad thing. Oftentimes we believe that we're selfish for demonstrating self-love, that we're not worthy of it, that we don't have time for it. I'm going to give you some practical things that you can do in the midst of a depressing situation when it comes to love. And I'm going to start with yourself. Don't isolate. Text someone, verbalize how you're feeling. When you say you don't have anyone in your life that you can talk to, what you're really saying is that you've already chosen not to connect with anyone. That's what you've said. Sunday night, one of our community members found out that his ex-girlfriend, who he still loved and deeply cared for, made a Facebook post that she was in a relationship with another man. There are a lot of details in that story. But several hours after she made that post, he committed suicide. over the next 48 hours on his Facebook page. And I made a post on behalf of this community that if there was anything that we could do there for the family, emotionally to support them, spiritually to be there for them, pray for them, just intellectually, what can we do? Is there information we can provide to just kind of help through this process? Physically, can we be there? Can we have, someone there for the family, for them? I mean, we'll go. I did this 6-state road tour here last fall. I'll go and be wherever. Let us know how we as a community over here at Live on Purpose can serve your family and friends in this time of need. And there's probably almost a dozen of them who follow here. All of the posts over the next 48 hours as his friends were beginning to find out about his suicide said, I wish you would have called me. I wish you would have reached out to me. I didn't know. I wish you would have told me. We want to be there for people, but we don't know. We don't know. It's amazing how we can just walk through life. How you doing? I'm good. That's great. And there's so much more going on underneath the surface. We mentioned this earlier, vulnerability. When we surrender, we become vulnerable and we reach out to others. And that allows them to love us. That's what I'm talking about, this third part, right? To love. Don't isolate. Here's some other practical things for loving yourself. Take a walk. Get outside in the sun. Get some vitamin D. Look at creation. It's amazing how unique and just beautiful that the world is when we take a chance just to look at it. Laugh. Go watch a funny movie. Watch a comedy. Go to a comedy club. But laugh. Get those endorphins flowing inside of you. Get out of your element. And stop thinking about and dwelling on that which you're trying to hold on to that you really don't have any control over in the first place. Get enough sleep. Gosh, you run in that insomnia because your brain doesn't shut off, because you're not talking to anybody and you're spiraling out of control because you're not taking control of yourself. And then you come out with irritability, you're not getting enough sleep, all of those things. Listen to some positive, upbeat music. Avoid overindulging in alcohol, in medications, drugs, in eating, in spending. Watch the processed sugary foods because what they do is they have so much going on in your body. You've got this up and down of emotion and sluggishness based on what you eat. So watch what you're eating. Remove all that stuff. Get in some omega-3 fatty acids. There's studies out there that say that helps with depression. Give of yourself. Get out of yourself and give of yourself. Love others. Love others. Go to soup kitchen. Go to the animal shelter. Go volunteer at your church. Show up and go, hey, I don't know. Whatever you need. Right? Maybe there's needy families. Go down to the homeless shelter. Go to the hospitals. Go to the soup kitchen. I have a friend last week who told me this story about his brother, drug, alcohol addiction, and he had failed attempts to commit suicide because he said, I can't control myself and I'm done. My life is this. I can't fix it. I'm done. And on his last failed attempt, one of his friends came to him, and if I understand the story right, called someone else who actually bought him a plane ticket, put him on a plane, and sent him to the mountains of nowhere where there was a rehabilitation retreat center, and they stripped him of everything that he brought with him and gave him a Bible. And a few weeks into the rehabilitation program, they went on a little field trip to the soup kitchen and said, listen, you're doing everything you can with everything you have going on in your life to die. And these people have nothing. And they're coming to the soup kitchen for food in order to survive. It's a mind shift. It's a perspective. Get out of yourself. Spend time with God. I don't know what that looks like for you. Talk to him. Yell at him. Journal. Listen to worship music. Be out in creation. Connect with him. Tuesday afternoon, I received a message from a friend who said, I'm in a bad way and I need to talk to somebody. I dropped everything I was doing and I said, when? Now? You need me to come to you? Because I will. And she said, well, I'm going to be working a little bit later, but can we talk? And I said, absolutely. Now? Or you want to do that later? Like, I don't know where she is and what she's doing. And she said, yes, now. She called me. I'm in the middle of work. I got stuff to do. Nothing was more important in that moment than me connecting with her. Why? Because I could tell by what she wrote that she needed to talk to somebody now. I told her in the beginning of that conversation, how you're feeling right now, trust me, you will feel better when we're done. Why? Because she has a safe place to talk and be vulnerable and share her feelings without judgment. Love. Love. She surrendered in the moment. She knew she couldn't control what she had going on. She trusted God and she reached out. On Wednesday, I sent her a text message and I said, you are loved. She texted me back yesterday and she said, thank you. You've helped so much. I woke up, thanked God, and got out of bed, went for a walk with my doggie, and it was lovely. She put all of those practical things. I said, get up with an attitude of gratitude before your feet hit the floor. Just take a minute and say, man, I'm just grateful that I'm laying in a bed, that I have a roof over my head, that I actually woke up today, that my lungs feel good, right? This morning, I texted her again and I said, I am grateful for you. And her response, thank you. I'm slowly feeling better. I'm learning to be grateful. I'm learning to look for the positive instead of the negatives. Baby steps. But definitely learning to allow myself to enjoy God's love. And by the way, thank you so much for checking in on me. It makes me feel cared about. We want to do that. Do we? Do we reach out when we're in the midst of dire straits? Do we accept when someone reaches out to us, or do we shove them off? How are we loving one another? You see, when we do these three things and we surrender, because we can't control everything, the only thing we can control is ourselves. We trust God with ourselves and with everything else. And we love. Love God, love others, love ourselves, and receive the love from God and from others. What happens is we enter into a place of peace within our circumstances. Peace. I want to read this scripture to you. It comes from Philippians, and David had mentioned Philippians 6 a few minutes ago in his post. It says, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all he has done. That attitude of gratitude, right? And prayer, relationship with God. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard our hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. Let me read that verse to you again. His peace will guard you. It will guard your heart, your emotions. It will guard your mind, your mental, logical, intellectual. as you live in Christ, as you have faith in Christ, as you trust, surrender, trust, love is peace. There was an American theologian in the 1930s, early 1930s. His name was, I don't know how to say it, Reinhold Niebuhr was his last name. And he wrote a prayer that became widespread in churches, and then Alcoholics Anonymous adopted it as part of their program. And I want to read it to you. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Let me read it to you another way. God, give me the peace to accept the things I can't control, the courage to control the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between what I can control and what I can't control. I want to read for you the last of Philippians as I close for this evening. This is the Apostle Paul. He was writing this letter, which is 4 chapters, and this is from the last chapter, which is chapter 4, and this is toward the end of that chapter. And this is what Paul was saying to the people of Philippi, known as the Philippians. But this is also my sign-off message for you tonight as well. So these are not only Paul's words, but they're my words to you. And now, brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about the things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Keep putting into practice all you learned and received from me here. Everything you heard from me and saw me doing. Then the God of peace will be with you. I love you. Good night.